Welcome to another deep dive. We're going to be looking at resilience and self-discovery today, but through a bit of a different lens than usual. We've got some Japanese source material.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a really interesting mix. We've got some academic PDFs. It looks like there were some workshops in Japan about resilience. We also have some transcripts from a Japanese podcast, it seems like, it was all about like finding your core self.
Okay.
And we have some like PDF guides to communication styles and then some sample worksheets in Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then a website about, get this, laughing resilience exercises.
Wow.
And then some YouTube videos of people doing laughter yoga techniques. So kind of all over the place, but all kind of pointing toward the same ideas.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to hear your take on all of this.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, there were a few things that really stood out to me as I was going through this, and I'm curious to hear what you thought too. But like, first of all, the way that they define self-access, I thought was super interesting. And then there was this whole concept of self-compassion breathing that I'd never heard of before. But then also they had this whole study about nuns and how positive language use in their journals was linked to how long they lived.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the whole thing about laughter. And there was this one school that was teaching kids resilience through laughter.
Yeah.
Pretty fascinating. So, yeah, I mean, tons of interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
Well, I think what's so captivating about these sources is that they offer this like nuanced perspective on resilience and well-being. And it's one that goes beyond the simple idea of just bouncing back from adversity, right?
Okay.
Like we often hear about in the West.
Yeah. So beyond just like gritting your teeth and getting through it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you mentioned Jibunjiku earlier, and I think that's a good place to start because the Japanese term SN translating to resilience, it really places this like emphasis on staying true to yourself while navigating challenges.
Okay.
So it's about bouncing back, but in a way that aligns with your core values and aspirations, which is like the core of Jibunjiku.
Got it. So not just surviving, but thriving in a way that feels authentic.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Right.
I love that. And yeah, so Jibunjiku, I saw that popping up all over these materials.
Yeah.
So can you tell me more about what that means?
Absolutely. So Jibunjiku, which translates to self-access, it's all about identifying the deep-seated feelings that you cherish towards people, things, and events.
Okay.
And this isn't just about like, fleeting emotions or, what you're feeling right now. It's about those enduring feelings that act as a compass, guiding you towards a fulfilling life.
So it's not just a mood.
Oh.
It's something much deeper.
Deeper. It's about, what truly makes you tick, what really matters to you at the deepest level.
So Jibunjiku is like an inner compass, kind of pointing us towards what truly matters.
Exactly.
Okay. And how do these materials suggest that we tap into that?
Well, they recommend various approaches. And one common theme is like reflecting on your past experiences.
Okay.
Moments of like great joy, deep satisfaction, but also times of, struggle and, significant challenge.
Both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. By revisiting these experiences, we can kind of explore the emotions associated with them. And you start to uncover those core feelings that make up our Jibunjiku.
It's about understanding those moments that really resonated with us.
Yes.
Both positive and negative.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because they both teach us something about ourselves.
So what are some practical implications of this, of living in alignment with one's Jibunjiku?
Well, the materials highlight several benefits like increased resilience, greater well-being, and a stronger sense of purpose. So when our actions align with our Jibunjiku, we're less likely to be swayed by external pressures or setbacks. Right. Because we have this like inner compass guiding us.
Makes sense. It's like an inner source of strength.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And we're also more likely to experience that sense of fulfillment even when facing challenges because our actions are rooted in something, deeply meaningful to us.
So it's about more than just like achieving goals. It's about how we feel about those goals.
Yes, exactly. It's about the why behind the what.
The why. Okay.
Okay.
And there was a story in one of these workshop materials.
Yes.
That really illustrates this.
Right. Yes, there is. There's a story about a junior high school student who, through a resilience workshop, realized that her true passion lay in a field completely different from what her parents expected of her.
Oh.
And initially she felt conflicted, right?
Sure.
Because her Jibunjiku was pointing her in a direction. that wasn't, in line with like societal expectations.
Right. And especially familial expectations in that case.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so she's got her inner compass pointing one way, but all these external pressures.
Yeah, so what happened? Well, by acknowledging and honoring her jibunjiku, she found the courage to actually pursue her own path.
Wow.
And it wasn't easy,
I bet.
but it ultimately led her to a more fulfilling and authentic life.
It's like she chose resilience over just going with the flow.
Yes.
Okay.
And it really highlights how jibunjiku, it can guide us towards well-being, but it can also empower us to make choices that might even challenge like conventional norms.
That's really powerful. So honoring that inner compass, even when it's really hard.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now I want to switch gears a little bit because one thing that really surprised me going through these materials was the emphasis on laughter.
Oh.
And specifically LaughX, this program.
LaughX, yeah.
Can you tell us a little more about what that is?
Yeah, so LaughX is this unique approach to building resilience. And it incorporates like laughter exercises, breathing techniques, and even positive affirmations.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a multi-pronged approach.
So laughter for resilience.
Yes.
Exactly.
But I mean, I have to admit, when I first saw that, I was a bit skeptical,
Sure.
It seems a little counterintuitive to laugh when you're stressed or facing challenges, but I'm really interested to hear more about the science behind it.
Yeah, and there's a growing body of research that supports the physiological and psychological benefits of laughter.
Okay.
And what's really fascinating is that our brains don't necessarily distinguish between genuine laughter and laughter that's induced through, exercises.
So even if you're not genuinely feeling happy, the act of laughing can still have a positive impact.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, you can kind of hack your brain into a more positive state.
Hack your brain.
Right.
Through intentional laughter.
Yes.
Okay. So can you explain a little bit more about those benefits? Like what's actually going on in our brains and bodies when we laugh?
Yeah, so for starters, laughter triggers the release of endorphins.
Okay.
Which, they act as natural mood boosters and pain reliever.
Like a natural drug.
Huh?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they create this sense of well-being, and they can even help to reduce physical discomfort.
So it's a natural pain reliever and mood booster all in one.
Yes, exactly.
What else happens?
Well, it also helps to reduce cortisol levels. And cortisol is that stress hormone.
Right.
And when we're chronically stressed, our cortisol levels can stay elevated. And this can have, a negative impact on both our physical and mental health.
Sure.
So laughter basically helps us to manage stress more effectively.
By lowering those cortisol levels.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But it doesn't stop there.
Oh, there's more.
There's more.
Okay.
Laughter also has these positive effects on our cardiovascular system.
Okay.
It can boost circulation, and it can even strengthen our immune system.
So many benefits. I had no idea. Okay, so how does LaughX harness all of these benefits? What does a typical session even look like?
So LaughX combines these laughter exercises, breathing techniques, and those positive affirmations that we talked about.
Right.
In a structured program, it's designed to be, very playful and engaging.
Okay.
And it creates a very supportive environment where people feel comfortable letting go of their inhibitions.
Right.
And embracing the power of laughter.
Okay. Can you give me an example of a LaughX exercise?
Sure. One popular one is called greeting laughter.
Greeting laughter.
Yeah. So participants, they stand in a circle, and as they make eye contact with each other, they combine, a traditional namaste greeting with a hearty laugh.
Okay.
And it's just this simple way to bring more joy and connection into a simple greeting.
It seems fun and simple, but I can see how that would work.
Right.
Okay. And are there other types of exercises?
There's a lot of different exercises. There's one called, curtain opening laughter, where participants mimic the action of opening a grand curtain with this big dramatic laughter.
Wow.
It symbolizes a fresh start.
I love that.
Embracing new possibilities.
So it's more than just the laughter, it's the symbolism behind it.
Yes, exactly. There's another one called gargling laughter, where you tilt your head back and you pretend to gargle with air.
Okay.
Letting out these happy, bubbly sounds.
I can only imagine.
It's great for releasing tension in your throat and jaw.
That sounds great.
And then there's, high five laughter.
Okay.
Where participants enthusiastically give each other high fives while laughing out loud. It's all about celebrating, small wins.
Okay.
Fostering camaraderie and just shared joy.
Wow. So simple yet so effective, it sounds like.
Yeah. And it's amazing to think that something as simple as laughter can have these profound effects on well-being.
And we're just scratching the surface here. So much more to uncover. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue our exploration of Japanese resilience and self-discovery. Welcome back to our deep dive into Japanese resilience and self-discovery.
Yeah, we're picking up where we left off.
We left off with a lot of laughter.
A lot of laughter.
Yeah. LaughX, I've been thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm still a little curious about how it actually works. It just seems a little counterintuitive to just start laughing when you're stressed or you're facing a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it might seem a little unusual at first,
Right.
but there's a growing body of research that suggests that laughter can have a profound impact on our well-being, even when it's induced through exercises rather than, like spontaneous joy.
So even if we're not genuinely feeling happy, the act of laughing can trigger positive physiological and psychological responses?
That's right. Our brains don't always distinguish between genuine laughter and laughter that's induced through exercises. So even if we're faking it at first, the benefits can still kick in.
So we can trick our brains into being happier?
Kinda, yeah. It's like we're hacking our brains into a more positive state.
Hacking our brains through intentional laughter. That's wild.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
It is cool. So can you remind me, what are those benefits? What's actually happening in our brains and bodies when we laugh?
Well, laughter triggers the release of endorphins.
Okay, those feel-good chemicals.
Exactly, those feel-good chemicals. And they act as natural mood boosters and pain relievers. So they create a sense of well-being, and they can even help reduce physical discomfort.
So it's like a natural pain reliever and a mood booster all in one.
Yes, exactly. All wrapped up in a little package of laughter.
I like it. What else happens?
Well, laughter also helps to reduce cortisol levels.
Okay, cortisol.
Cortisol, that stress hormone.
Right.
And, when we're chronically stressed, our cortisol levels can stay elevated.
Yeah.
And that can have a negative impact on both our physical and our mental health.
Makes sense.
So laughter helps us to manage stress more effectively by lowering those cortisol levels.
Okay, so we've got endorphins, we've got cortisol. What else is going on?
Well, it doesn't stop there. Laughter also has positive effects on our cardiovascular system. It boosts circulation. It strengthens our immune system.
Wow, so many benefits. I had no idea.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Okay, so how does LaughX harness all these benefits? What does a typical session involve?
Well, LaughX combines these laughter exercises, breathing techniques, and positive affirmations in a structured program. And, it's designed to be playful and engaging.
Sure.
It creates a supportive environment where people can let go of their inhibitions and embrace, the power of laughter.
Okay.
So it's about creating a space where people feel safe.
Right.
To laugh freely.
Okay, so can you give me an example of a LaughX exercise?
Yeah, sure. So one popular exercise is called greeting laughter.
Okay, we heard about that one before.
Yeah, participants stand in a circle. And they make eye contact with each other.
Okay.
And they combine that traditional namaste greeting with a hearty laugh.
It's such a simple thing, but it seems so effective.
Right, it is.
And are there other types of exercises like that?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. There's one called curtain opening laughter, where participants, they mimic the action of opening a grand curtain,
Right.
with this big dramatic laughter, symbolizing a fresh start and embracing new possibilities.
Okay, I love that. So it's not just the laughter, it's the meaning behind it too.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
The symbolism of it all.
Okay.
And then there's another one called gargling laughter.
Gargling laughter, okay.
Yeah, where you tilt your head back and pretend to gargle with air.
Okay.
Letting out those happy, bubbly sounds.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, and it's great for releasing tension in the throat and the jaw.
Oh, that's great.
And then we've got high five laughter, where participants enthusiastically give each other high fives while laughing out loud. It's all about celebrating those small wins.
Okay.
And fostering that sense of camaraderie.
Yeah, yeah.
And just shared joy.
Okay. So they all sound so simple, yet so effective.
Yeah, and it's amazing to think that something as simple as laughter can have these profound effects on our well-being.
It is pretty amazing. And what's interesting to me, too, is that it's not just about the laughter itself, right?
No, it's not.
It's also about breathing and positive self-talk. So can you tell me a little bit more about how those two aspects kind of fit into LaughX?
Yeah, so before starting a laughter exercise, participants might be guided to take a few deep breaths,
right.
Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. And this helps to center themselves, calm their nervous system, and kind of prepare their body for laughter.
So it's about like being mindful and intentional with the breath.
Precisely. Yeah, it's about cultivating that awareness of the present moment, and using the breath as an anchor to stay grounded and present.
Okay, and I'm also curious about the positive affirmations. What are those like?
So participants might repeat affirmations.
Okay.
Like, I am strong, I am resilient, or I am filled with joy, while they're engaging in the laughter exercises.
So it's like, reinforcing the positive emotions. Okay, so we've got the laughter, the breath work, the positive affirmations. It seems like such a well-rounded practice.
Yeah, it really is. And, by combining these elements, LaughX creates this powerful synergy that supports overall well-being.
Okay, I love that. Now, before we move on, I wanted to circle back to something we briefly mentioned before the break. The nun study.
Oh, yes, the nun study, right.
Yeah, so can you remind me what that was about and how it relates to the concept of positive language?
Yeah, so the nun study was this longitudinal study.
Okay.
And it followed a group of nuns over several decades.
Oh.
And the researchers, they analyzed the written diaries of these nuns.
Okay.
Paying particular attention to the language that they used.
And what did they find?
Well, they discovered a fascinating correlation between the nuns who used more positive language in their writing and their lifespan.
So like the way they were writing about their lives actually impacted how long they lived?
Yeah, and it was the nuns who expressed more joy and gratitude, optimism and love in their diaries tended to live longer than those who used more negative language.
Wow, so their words have like a measurable impact.
Yeah, and while the study didn't establish a direct causal link,
right,
it strongly suggests that cultivating a positive mindset and using positive language may have significant benefits for our health and well-being.
I mean, it makes sense. If you're constantly focusing on the negative, it's going to take a toll.
Exactly.
But if you make an effort to be more positive, it's going to have a ripple effect.
Exactly.
Okay. And this emphasis on positive language, it aligns with the Japanese concept of o, right? Homaru.
Yes, exactly.
Which means to praise.
To praise. Okay. So how does that fit into the picture of resilience and well-being?
Well, Homaru goes beyond simply giving compliments, right?
Okay.
It's about recognizing and appreciating the good in others and in ourselves.
Right. Fostering this sense of encouragement and support. And that can contribute to creating that, 3A environment.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That safe and supportive space.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. So we're starting to see all these connections, right?
Yeah.
From Jibunjiku to LaughX to Homaru and the 3A environment. It's all coming together.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah, it's all interconnected.
Yeah. And, in our next segment, we'll explore another fascinating dimension of this Japanese perspective. We'll be looking at communication styles.
Okay.
And their role in building strong, resilient relationships.
So stay tuned for part 3, where we'll continue to unravel the wisdom contained within these Japanese sources.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been exploring this really fascinating material on resilience and self-discovery.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
It has, and we've learned about so many interesting concepts from Jibunjiku to LaughX to the 3A environment and Homaru. And now I'm wondering, how do we actually apply all of this to our own lives?
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
Yeah.
It is the big question. So where do we even begin?
Well, I think a good place to start is with that core idea of Jibunjiku, those deep-seated feelings we cherish.
Right.
That act as our inner compass.
So it's about figuring out what really matters to us.
Exactly. Beyond those kind of surface-level desires or societal expectations.
Right, going deeper.
Deeper, yeah.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, one practical step is to reflect on our experiences.
Okay.
Both positive and negative.
So thinking back on those moments, that triggered strong emotions.
Exactly.
Okay.
Whether it's joy, excitement, frustration, disappointment.
Right. The whole spectrum.
Whole spectrum, yeah.
Yeah.
And pay attention to those underlying feelings, what values or beliefs were at play in those moments? What truly mattered to you?
So it's about analyzing those experiences to figure out what's driving our reactions.
Exactly. And as we become more aware of our Jibunjiku, we can start making choices that align with those feelings, even if they challenge, those conventional norms or expectations.
Right. So having the courage to be ourselves, even when it's tough.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now let's move on to LaughX.
Okay.
So we talked about the science behind it, but how do we, incorporate more laughter into our everyday lives? in a practical way.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be as structured as a formal LaughX program, right?
Sure.
You can start by simply, seeking out opportunities for humor and joy.
Just be more lighthearted.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It could be as simple as, watching a funny video.
Yeah.
Sharing a joke with a friend. Or even just appreciating, the absurdity of a situation.
Right. Finding the humor in everyday life.
Exactly. And make a conscious effort to lighten up. And find those moments of levity. And remember, laughter is contagious.
That's true.
So when we laugh, we not only boost our own mood, but we create this ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so in the 3A environment,
Yes, Sam.
how can we create a space like that, that's safe, secure, and warm?
Well, it starts with being mindful of our own, communication and interactions.
Okay.
Are we truly listening to others?
Yeah.
Are we being empathetic, respectful, even when we disagree?
Yeah, being a good listener.
Right. It's about fostering a sense of trust and openness.
Right.
Where people feel comfortable being vulnerable.
Okay.
And expressing their true selves.
Right, and that takes us back to the 4 communication styles, right?
Yes,
The
exactly.
controllers, the promoters, the supporters, and the analyzers.
Right, because understanding those styles can help us tailor our communication to, better connect with others and create a more harmonious environment.
So recognizing that not everyone communicates the same way.
Exactly, yeah. And adapting our approach accordingly.
Okay, that makes sense. Give me an example.
Sure, so let's say you're interacting with someone who has a more direct style, like a controller. You want to be very clear and concise in your communication.
Okay.
Focus on the facts, the desired outcome.
Okay.
Whereas if you're interacting with someone who's more emotionally expressive,
Yeah.
like a supporter,
Okay.
then you want to prioritize building rapport,
Yeah.
creating that sense of connection.
Okay, so matching our communication style.
Exactly. It's all about being flexible and adapting to the situation.
Okay. Well, this has been an incredible journey.
It has, hasn't it?
It has, and I feel like I've learned so much. And I'm also feeling very inspired to put all of this into practice.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
So as we wrap up, what's one key takeaway that you want our listeners to remember from this whole deep dive?
Well, resilience and self-discovery, they're not destinations.
Okay.
They're ongoing journeys.
Right.
There's no finish line.
It's a process.
It's a process. It's about cultivating a mindset of curiosity, openness,
Okay.
and a willingness to embrace those, ups and downs.
Right, because those ups and downs are where the learning happens.
Exactly, yeah. They're the teachers.
Okay. I love that. Well, thank you so much for guiding us through this fascinating exploration of Japanese resilience and self-discovery.
It's been a pleasure.
It really has. And to all of our listeners out there, keep those curious minds engaged, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.